And it was.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to a meeting of the Stamford Selectboard. We have a matter to discuss that is not included on the agenda. You will do so by addressing the chairperson and stating your name and address. You'll notice that all our meetings are recorded, and this is to aid with the summarization of the minutes. Visitors are welcome, and we allow 5 minutes of comment per visitor and 15 minutes per topic. Discussions will be held in a calm and civilized manner and respectful of others. Select board members present are
Mike Denal.
Nancy Bashika.
Doug Wright.
John Dunn. Kurt Kamar.
Will there be any adding of items or removing items from tonight's agenda?
I have some agency of transportation papers that came in after the agenda, as well as another excess weight permit.
Okay.
Wasn't here.
Will there be any adjustments to the agenda, such as changing the order of items? And Jeb is recording tonight's meeting for his YouTube. Did we get any mowing bids?
Yeah, I didn't see price on the machine.
Oh, you're gonna stay out of it anyway, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Up to 3 days. I don't wanna cause a conflict of interest.
John's out of it too.
Yeah. Some new ethics.
One more reason you won't have a forum for voting.
Exactly. You know, I would have no problem being, fair. I don't know who to vote, no problem. Because,
This one,
it's all about the dollar bill for
And
me
this
right
one.
now. It's mowing.
and
It's
then,
not like we're talking about anything big, but while I can accuse myself, I will.
alright, so. President, please.
Well, there's a chair over here if you want, and there's one back there.
No, thank you. Do you want to discuss them later on? Maybe? Or do it now?
It's up to you. I don't see a problem opening them up and just.
Somebody else is coming in there. We'll probably have to see. Okay, we got a deal.
That's a VIP sit down there.
Nobody submitted certificate of insurance with these. I need to ask about this big paw firewood and landscaping. Replace damaged lawn from plow, damaged topsoil, seed and straw. So that means cleaning up all the front lawn then, right?
Yep, all that damage that's on the side, it's on the front lawn.
Spring cleanup.
Yeah,
Spring
it'd be cleaning all that up and then replace it with topsoil,
And
seed and straw.
I think we put in there to, remove debris from ditch along fence on northern line of property, is that included?
Yeah, you can include that in there with that, I don't think it's gonna add much.
Okay, so this one will be done. Do you know
The
how
other
many?
one doesn't specify how many cuttings, does it?
No, I was just gonna look, do
Whose
you know how
does?
many cuttings from,
Didn't we say
yard work by
16?
Dan?
I don't know.
What was the RFQ, did it say? Number?
No, we just say,
Didn't we go like, we were saying 16 at one time, but then Pam was here, she said it was 20 or something like that.
I think the average cuttings per year are 20.
It depends, this year we may be mowing sooner.
I
and
guess it really,
depends on the year.
it really doesn't matter if neither one of them put a number down.
so,
If it's a price, you take 20 and divide it, I'll tell you what you per.
There's a number on one.
Yeah, on Big Paw, it's, estimated 20 cuts. And yard work by Dan, it doesn't say how many cuts.
so number 3 just tells you how often you like it, but you don't specify anything.
Twice a week, is that, or monthly, is that?
What do we typically pay them?
August or September.
So what did you charge, what did you charge
Weekly
last
and-
year? Is it the same price as you charged last year?
Last year
Close to
charged,
bi-weekly. So that's even more confusing. Part of it's a weekly and then part of it's a bi-weekly.
yeah,
Let's just use the number, it doesn't
Just
matter.
amounts, yeah.
If we
amounts
use the
to
number
whatever.
20, we divide both prices by 20, it'll give us the number of cost per cut. So
Well, the
this-
cost per cut's on there too, one just specifies how many cuts it's gonna
Okay. So then, yeah,
be. Is that contractual, like, if it's 18 cuts, is that whatever? it is?
However many it needs is like,
I know
They
we've
got
gone
rid of
over
this.
yard work by Dan before too, because
Yeah.
the mowing season wasn't done, and you can't let the grass grow, and even here, you started early, but it depends on the season too.
Right.
So what's your feeling on this?
I don't know, nobody else knows the prices except you.
Well, they know it.
Oh, can I see it?
Yeah.
You can
Go
say
ahead.
it.
I mean, I'm not voting, I just
Say
gotta
it.
see.
Can you say it? I don't know.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah, we got it. Yard work by Dan, 200 per cutting, 750 cleanup. Big Paw, 200 per cutting and 500 per cleanup.
Okay. They're identical except the cleanup.
In the past, did cleanup include topsoil and seeding and?
I don't think it's the end.
He did an extra bid last year, I think.
Yeah.
You think he bid it separately? 'Cause we were-
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't think he defined what he's doing as much.
No, it just says
cleanup, right?
clean up, basic sticks and stones and stuff like that. Whatever's gonna mess the lawnmower up, pick it up,
Right.
leave the rest.
Find last year's. Sorry, guys.
sure, I'll send it in if you need it.
What's that?
If you want, I can go with that. Find it early.
I mean, it's probably gonna be at least 20 cuts, I would imagine, right? Especially if you start mowing in 2 weeks.
Well,
Whatever, if it's 18 cuts, just, you charge them by the cut, basically, right?
right.
Whatever it is.
Right, it will go down if,
Yeah,
so I mean, if it's
15
20 cuts, it's for the,
Whatever it is, whatever makes its way out.
Mowing last year, mowing and cleanup was 4,070.
accept, they fall.
Second.
All in favor? 3. 2 abstaining?
Abstain.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
staying out of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
You're wrong.
So you'll get your certificate of insurance to Lori?
Yeah, she called the insurance company, you know, send all
Usually fax
whatever,
it over.
whatever she needs over.
When everything starts, it looks good?
Yeah, sooner the better.
Yep.
You vote tonight.
Snowball tomorrow?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, hearing of visitors?
There are 2 events coming up that I wanna let everybody in town know about. One is on May 3rd is our once-a-year Vermont Green-Up Day. And it's, here at the school from 8 till noon. You come in, you are given gloves and a garbage bag and assigned or choose some road to just go around and help pick up trash. Really nice community event, good for the town. The second one is happening on May 10th from 10 till 2 here at the school, and that is going to be our 2nd annual resiliency fair. And it will be expanded this year in that we're gonna plan to not just have food, but to have a community meal together. It'll basically be, speakers and goods that are locally produced agricultural things. So if you're a producer of eggs, honey, maple syrup, or whatever, and want to be represented, hit me up. And also a band. Dan's son is in a band, and they're amazing. So come one, come all.
I had a question.
Yes,
On the cleanup,
yes.
does the state provide you with the gloves and bags?
They provide us with the bags. I got the gloves.
Okay, well, the reason why I'm asking, you weren't on the town agenda, so you didn't get your $50, I don't think.
That goes to the
Sure.
state.
Okay,
The 50
that
goes
goes to the
That-
state.
Yeah,
Our
So
local doesn't get any.
if you need anything,
thanks.
okay.
Thank you, thank you.
What is the date of the first one again? I'm sorry.
The first one is May 3rd, it's a Saturday.
Thank you.
Dave brings his truck down, we all have the joy of tossing these massive bags of trash. And you really see a difference, I mean, now that the snow has melted, whenever I walk my dog,
Sure.
And
cans,
your
bottles.
name?
Mike Cole.
Mike.
Yeah.
Head cold, but it's not Matt, so.
Yep.
have him Mike.
So,
Mike.
I'm here on behalf of Alcohol. I'm still a board member, and I just wanted to touch base with you guys on the culvert at the top of Suzanne Drive on
Okay.
Sportsman's Road. Didn't know where you guys ended up with that and the hydraulic study. I did touch base with Josh Harble, just in passing, and me and him talked about it for a minute, so I was just looking to get started again.
Yep, Dave,
Yeah, so-
he's got some information.
So yesterday I got the hydraulic study.
Yep.
So I haven't, gotten much information as far as cost, because he's also, his original design for the most effective, installation, I told him really is not really feasible in a way.
Yeah, no, because he said something about it, had some hurdles with permitting and all that, so.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So I asked him to come up with some alternatives, and he's supposed to send those to us.
Yeah, cool.
One seems fairly reasonable, the other one would include, a long pipe, it would be better, kind of like the second most effective, but still kind of a complicated project. And the third one is fairly simple, but, still gonna be the least effective.
Yeah.
And you still might have the same problem you do now.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because I do, alcohol, we washed out again down low. I think you guys already heard that. But we have been talking about trying to do some stuff to mitigate on our end of it. One thing we came up with was maybe we'll put a culvert across like 100 or 150 feet down the road, so that when it does come over, it tends to hit the ditches, and maybe we can cross it before it gets all the way down to the houses.
Right.
You know what I mean? Try to mitigate our problem. but hopefully we can work together and figure out some way to,
Mike, that's one thing I was gonna mention is, if we go forward, we can, there's always a chance, not, I'm not promising anything.
Yeah.
There may be grants.
Yeah.
So if we went forward with looking for a grant, whatever, the options we decide or we agree on, is Applewall being on board, are they willing to work with us on the leftover costs, cause grants are always matching.
yeah, and I can't speak for the whole board, but I believe we will
I
be.
think that would make it
Cause,
more fun.
yeah, no, I think that we're looking to spend some money to save us money in the long term,
Right, right.
is where we're coming from.
Exactly.
So that's,
That one plan that is the easiest, but I'm against that. I looked at the plan,
Yeah.
it's very small, and, why put money into something that's just gonna be the same issues, I think that.
yeah,
I'm not an expert, so I'm looking for more guidance, like you are, about.
Yeah.
The cost is what we're looking at.
yeah, oh,
If we
definitely.
can get, I'm just using, made up numbers right now, but if we get an 80% grant, we gotta pay 20%, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
We can work together on that.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's where, cause like you guys can get grants, Alpenwald, we're kinda hands tied, you
Sure.
can't really get grants for nothing, cause we're not a municipality.
Right.
So that's where, like, we've been talking about, we budget for 4 culverts a year, so we're gonna eat one this year if we end up doing this culvert on that road.
Okay.
We'll have to get the landowner, I think it's, Aaron Murphy, it's Jimmy Oliver's old place.
Mhm.
We'll have to get him on board, cause we're gonna put a culvert that's never been there before, you know what I mean, so.
I have a question, what does that do to the hydraulic study if you put a culvert in, where you're trying to put it in, what does that do to Josh Culver's study?
I have no idea, the
Down
culvert,
below the problem.
Nothing, yeah,
yeah,
Cause that's.
It's below the problem.
right.
Yeah. This would be down, it'd be down Suzanne Drive, it would essentially be if the water came over again and comes down Suzanne Drive, it would hopefully shoot the water back over and not go down the road farther.
What size culvert are you thinking of putting in there?
I would put a 24 in minimum.
What about time periods? You have no idea, right? That's the biggest issue.
Well, yeah, hopefully he'll get back to me pretty quick, I'll bug him if he doesn't, I don't think it's a big deal for him to do it.
Yeah.
And he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
So we really can't make a decision right now until we
Right.
see those and
I mean,
go.
for the most part, I think the most effective option is almost off the table because you're gonna have an Act 250, it's gonna.
Oh yeah, and he said something about having to get the friggin',
The Army.
Army Corps
Oh, yeah.
engineers involved and stuff, and it's just like,
You know,
I mean, where are we
for us-
going here?
For us, grant wise too, there's some questions, if it involves, like a private road, that type
Yeah.
of stuff, whether, what they would pay for, what they wouldn't pay for, he couldn't really give me any answers on that.
Yeah.
so.
No, definitely, because, I mean, we're just asking to be kept in the loop, and like, we're willing to work with you guys, that's for sure.
I'm definitely working on it.
Yeah, no, perfect. Like I said, it's one of those, we had that wash again,
Yeah.
it gets you thinking about it again, so I just figured I'd come down and touch base with you, and I can start reaching out to you personally, Dave, too,
Yeah, that's fine.
in between, just to keep in the loop and
Sure.
figure out what's going on with that.
If you're here after the meeting, you can take my number and.
Yeah.
I'll take yours
Yeah.
if I.
I probably won't be here after the meeting, but
Alright.
I'll catch up with you sometime, we bump into each other.
I'm easy to find.
Yeah, no,
Nights and weekends with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great that I'm sitting here, I'm Mike Murphy, who's Aaron Murphy's father, and so I'm here representing him, he's busy right now, but yes, will there be an opportunity for the people who are affected by that? He has the stream that's actually gonna be, changed by all this. So will there be an opportunity for him to have consultation?
I'm sure they will, because they
Yeah.
can't do anything
Right.
without the property
Yeah.
owner there,
Right.
yeah.
I'm
So
not
he's
sure
eager
what-
to talk about it.
Yeah, he wants to talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what his concerns are, but we kind of addressed what we felt maybe some of the concern. We wouldn't wanna try to cause him any issue in any way and direct water in a way that was gonna, flood him out. And he would still get, no matter what, that if we decided, the most effective or the second most effective, that color there's now would stay, because there is a stream channel there that wouldn't be captured by the other two. So,
Yeah, so if he
He's
understood
still
all that,
gonna
he
get
aware
water.
that, so he has, he has a well there,
Right.
which actually is related to that water, and also he has a stream on the property that has picturesque value
Sure.
for him, so would that be affected? So those are the questions that he has, and I think that if you could consult with him about that.
All three scenarios, he's still gonna get water down to, I think, the little pond area.
Yeah, there's a pond and there's a well.
Yeah, he would still get water is up the top and down at the bottom.
Right,
It just would be either he's gonna get all the water up top or some water up top and most of it down the bottom.
right. So maybe, so if he chatted with you, it might be helpful, so he can know where it goes.
Yeah.
If, Alcomal puts in the culvert, do you have to have landowner permission too, to put that on their property and start digging up their property, right?
Yes, we can do our work in our right of way, but we would essentially need to ask permission as we'd be directing water onto that property.
Right.
So that, because there's no existing culvert there, if it was existing, we could just change it. If not,
So will it be going down, heading more towards Lisa's now?
it would be, the idea would be to have it high enough so it would get back in the water channel that comes off of Aaron Murphy's property onto Lisa's property.
Say that again, it's coming off of Aaron's.
Right.
Yeah, so the
Culvert's going, the culvert's gonna divert the water onto Aaron's,
And I
And
live
the
right
upper
below
ones.
Aaron.
yes.
and you're below Aaron.
So it would cross if you were standing on, Sportsman's Road looking down Suzanne Drive, it would cross water from the left side of Suzanne Drive to the right. And it's gonna take almost no water, only in the
Right.
event that the water comes over the road like it has in the past.
Eventually go right in the same place as the water's going right now until there's a big rain.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's essentially a preventative thing, but it would
Okay.
mitigate the problems that we had down on her
Down
lawn.
on Tammy's, okay.
To keep the water from chasing, I mean, you're never gonna stop it all, most of the ones that happen this time were because of snow. It's just one of those, your hands are tied, you can only do so much.
Water comes from everywhere.
Yeah, so,
So you're saying that the way that the surface water would be affected on the Sportsman's Road part around the corner there would be minimal? Like,
what Alpenwald wants to do wouldn't affect anything to do with how the water comes across Sportsman's Road. What Alpenwald's gonna do is just to put a culvert in for a backup.
Right.
Essentially just a
Like
backup.
putting a drainage around your house.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just that's our first step, and then hopefully we can figure something else out to help
You'll
it
have to
even
wait
more.
and see what
Yeah.
Josh
Yeah.
Josh is gonna send that stuff down.
Yeah. Oh, nothing happens overnight.
Yeah,
This is all.
we can discuss whether, the second option is feasible, Alcohol's, interested in pursuing that
Yeah.
or not.
No, perfect. I'm glad to hear there's other options, because he sent me that option, the first one. and I was
Yeah.
like,
I really pushed on him pretty hard to try to, be more open to
yeah,
different options. 'Cause
logical fixes.
that didn't seem, it might be the best, for flow, but
Yeah, not for
there's a
everybody's
lot of
pockets.
hurdles, there's a lot of hurdles and,
is that the first one we looked at here, going over
yeah,
two properties and
right.
Yeah,
way out?
redoing the stream bed and all that. and-
so do you have any thoughts about the actuality of when that might actually be happening, something would be being done?
Well, I know that the town doesn't have funding enough to do any of those projects itself. So, if you guys want, we can try to apply for grants. You're not necessarily gonna get any of them this year. And I still don't know if they would pay for the second option because it's gonna end up going under, it's gonna be a longer culvert and it'll kind of, probably where you're thinking about dumping.
It's almost the same idea.
It's the same idea except for, it's gonna be crossing, grabbing that water kind of an angle and then going underneath Suzanne Drive and
Yeah.
dumping out down there.
Yep.
So, obviously it's a private road, the town can't just do that.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be some agreement there.
No, definitely.
And
Like I said, we're willing to play.
yeah,
That's
and
definitely.
that's a funding, that's a pretty sizable project other than, compared to the third option.
Yeah.
Which was kind of in the same area the pipe is now, adjusting it a little bit, you know, angle wise.
Yeah.
But then that's the least effective because you're still gonna have.
Yeah, you still have that hard 90, and
Yeah.
it still is what it is.
Right, so, I can tell you that I can tell you the size of it. I would go with the kind of a squash culvert, the metal pipe arch.
Yep.
They gave me two options, one of them's around 3.5 feet, but the squash culverts would handle the debris a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe, so the size is 33 by 49.
Yep, perfect.
Squash cover, so it's really not as big, fortunately.
Yep.
Is what I had expected them to come up with.
No, I agree, I'm surprised a little bit.
Yeah, so,
Does anything that you guys are talking about have Act 250 involved in it?
just one, option one, the most effective, but the most hurdles to overcome, and even that's not a guarantee.
If you gotta bring the Army Corps in, you're looking at years before this gets done. I mean, look at Klondike Road.
Is there something you can do temporarily that doesn't involve the Army Corps of Engineers or to kind of?
Well, there's
alleviate
two
the problem?
options that wouldn't require an Act 250 or the Army Corps.
Right.
Believe it or not, the second and third option don't even require a permit from ANR. So that's good, because it's a intermittent stream. Like I said, I haven't even priced one of those culverts in a while, so I don't know what it costs. I know we got $4,000 in our culvert budget, so.
Well, let's,
Because the cover's like what? One culvert?
Yeah, you have.
wait until you get more information. You can work with Mike and,
I like to bring this up all the time. How many culverts do we have in town?
300.
300 culverts. You know, so, and not all of them are in good shape, I tell you.
No, I mean, we have similar projects that are probably, where the structures are probably, they're starting to fail.
Yeah. We're in the same situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
So, I guess typically I kind of decide that, but in this situation, I mean, I guess you guys can decide what's more of a priority and take that off my shoulders. I have no problem doing this project. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see where the options come in at. I mean, it sounds like option 2 would be the best in my mind. If that's the case, what's the number? Is there a grant available? We go back and tell that wall or Oppenwall group that it has to be $100,000. They gotta come in half. They might say, well, we don't have the money. We surely don't have the money.
Right.
Then we go look for a grant, or we can say the grant came in and we're getting 80,000. Now we only gotta come up with 10. We'll come up, something like that. I'm just using numbers to make it justified.
Maybe when I get the options, I'll talk to Mike, and maybe you, Marcus, can throw a number at doing the job.
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
the long one.
Yeah.
And then if we can get a grant that pays some money towards it, you guys can put your time in it, and, I don't know how it'll work, but.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying, we're here to play. Like,
That's a pretty long stretch there, it's gonna be
yeah.
quite a bit of money just for the culvert.
Yeah, no, and it'd be nice to hear, because we don't wanna put something in that's gonna interfere with the future project, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we might still put in this lower pipe just to help mitigate that. Like I said, you're never gonna fix it forever. I mean, it's always gonna come over at some point, sometime. We're gonna get heavy rain with snow and.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. It'll never be cured, it'll just be better. So,
okay, thank you. Tammy?
Tammy Elias, Suzanne Drive, I'm the one with the ruined yard. I'm very glad to hear conversation that things are gonna be changing. Meanwhile, my guy came out and gave me a quote of $3,000 to fix my driveway and the yard to make it look like it did before the rain. I would like to know where this money is coming from. I don't have it to keep doing this over and over and over. I pay my Appenwall dues. I think it's Appenwall's responsibility. Barkus told my husband last week that he would come with some sort of yellow machine with a straight blade and try to get all the crap out as much as he could, and I have heard nothing, seen nothing.
town's responsibility to fix that up. We don't go on anybody else's private property when they have problems. I mean, my whole bank washed out 3 times, 10,000.
Yeah.
And the state didn't say, we'll help you, and I know it's the way it
We
is.
can try to alleviate problems in the future, but, things
I
can.
know water's the enemy, you
Yeah.
can't stop it when it's coming down.
What if Apple, you know, if you can help her out, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, that's a board decision, we'll have to talk about it with the board.
Any other hearing visitors?
Walt, do you wanna speak at all, or you want me to ask?
You can do it. You want it? Whatever.
It's up to you.
Yes, sir. I wanted to see what I could do to, plow from, Shank Road down to Wally Dolly's old place.
Walter, what's your last name?
Winship,
Oh, you're right on the corner then.
yes.
Yeah, okay. You know where he is?
West Road?
Yeah, Shank Road, go up Klondike,
Yes.
Shank
That's
Road,
Bonus.
real schoolhouse, bonus camp.
Well, we do let other people plow the road, but you have to fill out the insurance. There's an agreement that you have to sign with the town
Mhm.
every year.
Yep.
We need the insurance certificate. Lori has the information on it. Dave inspects it after, in the spring each time, to make sure there's no other damage, and you would repair any damage caused to the road, because the road is closed, supposed to be closed in the winter. I've seen tracks over there. What else do we need with that?
So Dave, one of the concerns that he was having is the insurance, if he's having a tough time finding insurance for himself to plow. The other people that do this, they source it out to a local guy that plows, right?
Brian Jowett told me he was up to find it fairly reasonable.
Yeah, so, that's what I did mention to Walt, that maybe we can get a hold of Brian, I have Brian's contact stuff, I can give him a call. Because the numbers that Walt was talking about, was you can build, we can put a road in, you know.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you just need to get commercial insurance for your truck that you're plowing with. Cause when you're plowing your own property, you don't have to get insurance on your vehicle, cause you're plowing your own driveway. As soon as you drop your plow on someone else's property, you're not covered by your regular automobile insurance. You have to get what's called commercial insurance. They make it sound like it's a big deal, but it's really not.
You have it.
Yeah, you just
So
have to
he
pay
has-
like a little extra, fee.
Yep.
And it covers you to plow other people's property.
So we'll get some, people that you can talk to, I'll help you out.
Okay,
We can get some, we got all summer, so.
yeah,
Lori's got all the agreement.
okay,
Okay.
Grab that from Lori,
okay.
or does Casey have it available, or you can grab it tonight if you want, okay, you get it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, all set here? Reading and approval of records and orders from March 20th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Road conditions, Dave.
We've been out covering some of the stone this week that we put in for the mud. We're gonna be grading, I would say probably next week at some point, we're gonna start. There's a couple roads that are dry. And we'll grade them, there's others that, most of the roads dry and have spots are, so. That's pretty much what we're gonna focus on. When I can, the grading, and we'll start ditching on East Road. Get that done before we do the shim and chip seal this summer, so.
You don't know when they're coming.
No, not yet, I mean, it's like, it should be, for the next meeting.
And you did say something about, the sweeper?
Yeah, the sweeper, I contacted the maintenance man this year. Instead of Donovan, they won't give you an actual date because of weather and, you know, however they do it, it's only a day, so we just kind of.
When are we gonna revisit, the idea of blacktopping?
Next year, we're gonna be doing another project, our 5-year project where we go around and chip seal roads and stuff.
Okay.
So I would say, when I go around with him to kind of survey all the roads, we'll get into that more. I'll get some prices on whatever roads you guys want me to get prices on. I can definitely suggest which ones I'd like to see done, but.
No, you know how I am, the longer things go, the more they cost.
Sure.
And I know the number that we had for this road will go up just by any stretch of your imagination. And depending on how things are going in the economy, could go up higher. But I don't like to wait on things if we're gonna do it at all. If we're not gonna, that's fine. You know, Tom says, no, we're not gonna, okay. But if we are, I like to keep on things. The fire truck's a great example. If we don't wait, you know, if we wait, and we didn't, and we saved well over $100,000, you know, so it makes sense.
The guy I normally deal with knows that we're interested in having possibly some more roads done, so, you know, they may be, knowing that, it may be eager to, you know, especially if they get slow at all, or
Sure.
more work, throwing a better number at us.
Good.
Anything else? Equipment's all good?
No, the Ram truck is at the tires at the moment. They had a bunch of lights on the dash, and the scan tool I have isn't good enough to tell me what it is, so. And, one of them, it was a ABS, service ABS, and it wouldn't allow it to go in four-wheel drive, and everything's tied into a computer now, so. I have no idea what's going on with that at the moment, but it's down there.
Do you know roughly how many miles are on that vehicle?
About 50,000. I'm planning on next year coming to the board, so we can put that on for a warrant article to replace it, because it is 5 years old. Unfortunately, we probably should have done it this year, it's probably getting to the point where it's gonna nickel and dime us now.
Right. We were just talking about this on the way in with private vehicles. You know, John's got a business, he's buying vehicles, I'm buying machines. When you start spending more than your payments would be for a new machine, and that's where we're at. You know, you're starting to spend more in a year. And when you get those numbers and you approach the town and say, look, I'm spending, you know, $12,000 a year on this truck, and it's depreciating more and more. I can buy a new one, my payments will be that with it, you know.
That's how we bought the last one.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, and it's hard to understand, because the old days, you had a vehicle, you kept going, and you could fix it, and you knew how to fix it, now you can't even test it, never mind.
Yeah, most of the nut and bolt stuff, you know, Mike and I can handle, but when it comes to, everything goes through the computer, even the tail.
I'm doing the same thing down the shop now, I buy these machines, they're all computerized, they break, I can't fix them. The old days, we could fix it. So now you're looking at, you gotta replace them every 5 to 7 years.
Sure, the reliability really plays into it too, because we need, these things have to be ready to go.
Right.
Less breakdowns.
Yep.
And the truck does get used a lot, and so, and we've had good luck with it compared to everything else, so I'm, you know.
Is that truck paid for now currently,
It
or?
will be this year.
Which
So
that's the time to
still-
keep.
Yeah, I mean, you're still talking, I mean, that truck was just over 100,000 when we bought it, so 5 years ago, so I'm guessing, you know, the new one's gonna be 120, 130.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. But we should get something for it still. You know, the last truck we got rid of was just a wreck.
Right, so we can get it down to the same payments, maybe get close. And we're used to that,
Right.
we're making those payments.
The reliability needs a lot to do, because I'm the one laying under it, pulling my hair out, trying to keep the thing going down the road, so.
I don't feel bad for you with your hair. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I guess I got a little more. I mean, this winter's definitely had more failures with that truck than we've had. It's starting to get to that point, you know, we're on the roadside trying to keep it going, so.
recycling. Okay, discussion, proposed bylaw revisions. The planning commission has presented the select board with the proposed zoning bylaws, and you'll notice in there, their changes are in gray. They had their public hearing 2-3 weeks ago. So now the next step is to present this to the select board, read it over. Any changes to it concerning the sign section, because that's all that we're discussing right now. We can't do anything else in there without going to them first. Have your questions ready for next meeting. We'll discuss it. We can talk to the board about, the planning commission about it. If there's major changes, we send it back to them. Minor changes, then we can proceed and do the public hearing. And we can set that, I think Laurie said, got 120 days after this is presented to us to have a public hearing. So if we discuss it next meeting, set a date sooner than later.
Can I ask the planning board, some of them are here tonight, you voted this in, correct? Bring to us. Could you tell me what the vote numbers were? Was it unanimous? Was it unanimous?
I just have one tiny thing, Lori, when Lori and I were on the phone, there's one small change that we made that didn't make it into this for some reason, I didn't
The 8
catch
and
it.
the 10?
Yeah,
I
the
thought it this morning,
saw
I
it.
changed it.
What page? Oh, you got,
So I don't, what page?
she's got the change anyway?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
right before I printed it, I checked it one more time.
sorry, I didn't see it.
It's changed on our copy.
On your side.
We changed it, and Lori and I were talking on the phone to put together what to send to you, and it's the 8 that we had changed to 10.
Page 24,
But we haven't changed, so we wouldn't have known it.
Right.
7.162M, the temporary construction sign not to exceed 16 square feet in total area or
Yeah.
10 feet in height. It should have been 8, and when I first drafted it, I didn't touch it, but I did catch it this
The
morning.
height should be 8.
8, yeah.
Say that number again, 7.1.
16.2M.
Top of
That's
page
crossed
20.
out, this is the.
Yeah.
Page 24.
Yeah, I don't, oh.
Well, when I initially sent it to Lisa to
Oh,
look
okay.
at, I had missed it, so she caught it this morning, or last night.
Too late.
And I didn't touch it.
Yeah, where's M? I think, yeah, she changed.
Oh, you already gone.
Oh,
That's
it's
how I
crossed
said,
out.
yeah, I'd already caught it.
Hopefully.
Okay, gotcha.
Good.
I would like to say that, thank you to Lisa for putting all her work into this and the rest of the board. A lot of, effort went into this, and unfortunately it does come around the sign that we are all like hesitant about, but, look forward to reading it and giving you some answers next week.
Anything else on that, Lila? Ethics Commission update. Lauren sent us another draft.
Conflict of interest in ethical conduct policy, is that what we're talking about?
Sign the board of commissioners, yep. Okay. In reading it over again, this sounds like it only covers the elected individuals statutorily appointed to perform executive, administrative, legislative, quasi-judicial functions of the town. What about Mike Brothers? I'm sorry using names, but Mike's position,
Employees.
Employee.
yeah, Casey's position.
Yeah.
Could we add a line there, employees of the municipality too, that it should cover the employees?
Or her.
What about,
into that too, anybody that's acting in an official position representing the town. Maybe not elected, but appointed, you know, you go to this meeting like that.
Sure. Right. More's better, I guess.
Because I thought it was covered in our employee handbook, but there's nothing in the employee handbook that covers conflict of interest or ethics, so that'll be another next step we'll be working on. So if we add it in Article 3, maybe we don't need it in, on the next page, number E, or letter E, public body means boards, councils, commission, committee of a municipality. Employee of the municipality, or anyone representing the town.
Right?
Which,
Yeah. This E. See, you're reading them,
State's policy must apply to employees, doesn't it?
the state's policy.
Yeah. They don't have an ethics policy.
Sure. I mean, you have
Yeah,
labor
must cover
laws.
employees.
This is the
Yeah,
policy we got from
that's-
VLCT.
That's actually true though. You have labor laws that says right in there, if you do this, sexual harassment, whatever, it's all in your state guidelines for labor laws. So, like, I don't think, Massachusetts labor laws are,
Those are more restrictive than ours. I mean, we can add it,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt
it's
to.
there.
Yeah, I think we were just very close to this and didn't realize till
I
we
mean,
were
it
talking
doesn't hurt
about.
to add, if you want to add.
Yeah, I mean, we can add it in. It doesn't hurt to add it in.
Okay. Let's add it in and,
So the next week,
yeah,
for the next meeting?
yeah, send it out and,
Can we sign this without bringing it back to the board? Just
you good with the whole
stop.
thing?
I mean, with just that one change, yeah. We've been talking about it for
and if
a
we
month.
make a motion, can't we say,
With the change.
allowing for the changes that.
Yeah, and it can be
Yeah.
changed forever. You can go
Okay.
back a month from now and go, hey, we wanna make an amendment, we can always do that, but I'd like to make a motion that we sign it with the changes that we spoke about tonight, and we can stop it and just sign it,
Be done.
you know? So we don't have to keep bringing this, putting on the agenda, we go talk about it, not if I read it enough, that I don't see the errors like you do.
Well, we didn't, Lori and I didn't see it until the other day and said, well, what about?
Yeah.
Anybody representing the town, subcommittee. Then I think after we adopt this policy, we hand it to all the other boards in town, because they have to follow this also.
I'm still, and I hate, I don't wanna start a big argument about this, I'm still having, there's a part of this, and part of, I guess, people that are in charge, I have a tough time with. I appoint, or we appoint Lisa on the board, and Lisa doesn't follow the board's rules, okay? You're causing issues on your board, whatever it is. It's not a conflict of interest, it's an actual, you're disrupting the harmony of the board, whatever you wanna call it. And the rest of the board brings that back to the appointers. We've appointed you, and we say, get a executive session, we sit you down and say, hey, look, we've heard that you're swearing, you're out of line, you're making people talk, you're cutting people off, you're being a problem. I still feel this board should be able to reprimand another board member and say, you're appointed by this board, and if you don't knock it off, you're done. And we'll appoint someone else. And I think that this board should have that authority to do that at all times.
You can't be censured. I mean, we could be.
We're elected, they're appointed. I mean, it's just like the president of the United States coming in, bringing his cabinet in and saying, this is my cabinet.
Sure.
You're all done. Well, the same thing goes here. And not that, I'm not trying to sound like we're all that. It's just that because it's awesome to have so many people step to the plate and get on these boards. And I hate to bring this up, but right down below this, we have letters of resignation. And one of the letters is due to the actions of another member. And then that didn't come to this board. Now, we just had a resignation letter right off the bat of someone saying, hey, look, this board is doing things that are against the rules of a board. Okay, so we have a public meeting laws. That means that I can't call up the rest of you guys and say, hey, vote my way or else. It's against the public meeting laws, okay? We can talk about things, and I can give you information, say, hey, there's information, hand it to all of us. You know, we've all done that. We read an article, we hand it to all of us to read. We don't make an agenda. We don't tell anybody what we're thinking. But when we have board members that are going against the rules, I'm not saying that I believe the people that are resigning or not, it doesn't matter. It should go to this board, in our executive session, we should discuss it, find out what's going on and say, hey, look. And that, like I said, it doesn't matter if you resign or not, I'm saying that the people that resign, now we put new people in, they have the same issue. We didn't solve the problem.
Right, are they gonna resign?
And all I'm
Nobody's
saying
gonna
is,
move.
if I hear as a select board member, and I'm not trying to be a boss, I'm just calling the rest of this board. If I hear from other members that there's one member constantly causing trouble or doing things that are against the rules, not just unethically, but against public policy, you know, the open meeting laws, you can't do some of these things. You can't have your little meetings at your house with, how many members you guys got now? Sorry, 9?
No.
No.
7? So you have 5 of you guys having a meeting at someone's house, and you all gang up on someone else, that's wrong, you can't do that. If you find that's happening, we have to address that as a board, because that doesn't make the town run smooth.
Yeah, I mean, we could not appoint certain people if that's the way we feel. You know, I mean, I don't think we need to appoint somebody just because there's a vacant seat on a board.
Right, and it's our
Whereas
job,
quorum, the seat can remain vacant. You can just not appoint the person.
our job's to access the judicial system when that happens. We get the information from both sides, and then it's our job to make a decision. Right now, and that's where we talked about this, last meeting, about having all boards meetings and having boards answer to us. You know, and again, I'm just gonna use this one because it came up today, Conservation Committee. I didn't even know who was on that committee, it's been so long since I heard from them. Now all of a sudden we're hearing about it. You agree? You guys agree?
Yeah, that's.
You didn't hear about it, last year we didn't hear about confirmation.
Well, there was a few new members who, some of which are leaving now, that kind of revives what the Conservation Commission was doing, but
Right,
they're leaving, so, I don't know, back to one meeting every 6 years or something.
right, so we should have at least the chairman of that board, you know what I mean? Should come forward and say, okay, there's a report back to the select board, saying, hey, this is what's going on, everything's running smooth, nothing's running smooth. We should hear about that, and it shouldn't be just hearsay on the streets. It would make it better for this town, for the board, to be able to run it more smooth. You have people right now that are not happy on some boards. Now that it's getting videoed, you can watch some of these board meetings, and yes, I have no problem with having heated discussions, you know me, I'll have a heated discussion. But when you have people just,
I mean, I would say there's a difference between healthy debate and debate just to be disruptive.
Right.
I mean, you can just come in and just be disruptive with no point.
So, I guess the reason why I brought it up here, I wanna make a distinction between this type of ethical problem where a public member comes and says, hey, I have an issue, I'm going to the state, and I send in this form. And the state sends it back, I have no problem with the way we talk through that. When it comes to one of our appointed members doing something out of, like a point of order type thing, you know, where you're just not doing it right, and it's constant. I would like the chair of that board, at the very least, comes to our board and we can discuss it during an executive session, so we don't embarrass people and go forward. And maybe the person doesn't understand what they're doing. You know, you can't call people on the phone and tell them what to vote for. You can't do that, okay?
No.
You can't, it's just wrong. And maybe they just don't, maybe that's the way it was done 100 years ago, I don't know. But right now, we need to tell them, look, you can't do that. And go from there. That's just my opinion. I think this board should be able to take more action when it comes to that.
Aren't most of the boards, like when we meet here, like Nancy will say, will be conducted in a respectful manner, that type of thing?
I don't,
Couldn't we draw up
yeah.
something like that? I mean, we're not talking, like you said, ethics now, we're talking about conduct.
Conduct, right.
And disruptive
Rules.
conduct, which disrupts the running of the town.
Sure.
So could we put something, use that as a basis, like what she reads, everybody will be respectful, wait to be called on,
Right.
just draw that up.
Now, who's your chair now? You are?
For the planning commission.
So the planning commission chair, you have that type of
Yeah, so
beginning
I think that's
language?
what she does.
we just went through some good changes when just prior to I took over as the chair and our first meeting as the chair.
Now, just because, I know you were on both boards, the Conservation Commission,
Mhm.
did they have that type of language?
I never made a meeting.
Okay, Marta, you're there, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore, so,
There was
did
not.
you ever go to the meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Was there any of that language at the beginning of the meetings?
No.
No, okay, so that's a good idea to say, hey, look, we all start our meetings, all boards start our meetings with this type of language, to make sure that the public knows that. And not just the board members, the public says, look, you can't tip this table over, if you do, we got a problem, right? Because even if I stand up, and I've seen this happen where board members stand up, and they get, we're having a discussion and they start walking towards you, that's wrong, that's threatening.
Well, it's an aggressive.
And we've had that in this board, so I've seen it here,
Where did
you
you,
know?
Lisa, where did you get your wording from, another town? I mean,
Which wording?
the opening of your planning commission meeting from other towns?
No, I think just what we had in place in this town already.
Similar to what we do.
Yeah, right.
I
Very
think it's
good.
something from another town that was similar, and it's probably home.
I don't wanna make it go too long.
I mean, the language has been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it bothered me tonight when I saw the letters, and it bothered me that I saw the letters, like, we had a person that is appointed and now is leaving, never, I hate to call you out, but the letters there, saying, hey, I didn't even go to a meeting and this is already how it's happening. We shouldn't let this happen, we should definitely say, hey, look, don't do this, okay?
Bill?
Probably as a push, you probably need to give a copy of the open meeting law to every person you appoint.
Yeah.
We got some training coming up on it.
A lot of those people have no idea.
Right, and they're supposed to take that.
I mean, we're familiar with it here because we live with it all the time.
Yep.
But those people that say, yeah, I'd be interested in serving
Yep.
and don't have any idea what it's.
That's a good idea, that we can get that, hand that to them. Like I said, I'm not making, accusations that they're doing it on purpose. They might not know, they might think, hey, I can go call people on the phone and,
I'm the chairman.
yeah,
Do it.
tell them, this is what we're doing. And chairman just means, with her case, it's a little bit more about, chair, but, but if you run this meeting, other than that, we're all equals. And, although, she's got a little bit more information.
Her pile is bigger.
Yeah, well, she's a
I can't
good
remember.
chair.
I can't remember this.
Right. But you know what I'm saying, I just, all kidding aside, I just would like to see things run smooth, because nothing gets done if there's always arguing and wrenches getting thrown in the gears. This bylaw thing, you guys work a long time on it, when there's wrenches getting thrown in the gears, and I'm not saying that you can't disagree, but you don't want that, that's a lot of work, and there's a lot of work to be done. You look at this agenda tonight, and I'm talking, and Nancy's going, hurry up, because we gotta get going.
So, Laura, what are you having Lori send a copy of the open meeting law to
Yeah.
chairmans?
And I think that all the boards, well, not just chairmans, I think we can rifle it off.
Everybody you appoint.
Yeah.
So
And then I think all the boards should have language at the beginning of their meetings that are similar to what we use.
Doug mentioned too that there's gonna be an open meeting training through VLCT on April 16th.
Yeah.
Correct, Lori, I think it's 16.
And you can do that here or on your own computer, right?
It's free, this one, so.
Yeah.
It's free, yeah, you can
You can do it
sign
anywhere.
up and do it
Okay,
anywhere.
yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing, like I received an email from Lori and I sent it to all of the board members, the planning commission members, to see who was interested in this. And then I sent the response back to Lori, and I'm assuming she sent it to every chair on the board, so regardless if they wanna take the meeting or not, I mean, it's been presented, so kudos for that.
I mean, even when they're free, I like coming here because it gets me out of work. No, but I'm not computer savvy. I screw up everything. Every time I touch something, so they set it up, and if there's more than one of us that, Kurt's not that computer savvy, right? I'm not. We can sit here and watch it.
I can barely read.
That's right. I know.
Well, if there's a way to find out from Lori maybe, like, I know that there wasn't really interest with the planning commission, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna redo it, but if other people were going to it, come down. But I guess I don't know if other people are.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If there's four of us,
Yes, if there's
it's
more
not-
people, it's more fun.
get pizza
to
and
do
beer.
together. Yeah, absolutely.
She usually sets it up here anyway, I've been here along with it.
Yeah, we did it last year, it's the same one, right?
And there's always something you learn that you go, oh, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know that.
Definitely.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Anyway, thank you, Mike.
Okay, you're not done.
Okay,
Mike made a motion to sign this with the changes.
Yes.
There's never a second.
Oh.
So
I'll
do-
second.
Should I move on now?
I'm sorry.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Okay. I have two people have sent in letters saying they were interested in being appointed an ethics investigator in part of the pool.
So next one is.
This one you just throw
ethics-
away. You just walk in, you throw that
The
away.
ethics commission update.
I want to consider.
Throw that one. Buddy.
How many will we look?
This ex law enforcement doesn't help. On ethics,
Okay.
I think the law enforcement would help, but the investigative part would.
yeah, the ethical part, no.
Oh, no, lock them, just lock them up. Right up, right.
So what will happen is they'll remain in the pool when we need them. Or if someone files an ethics complaint against Pete or Jim, they just.
So right now, how
letters.
many
Then we
police
have to
officers do we have?
appoint
2 or
someone else.
3?
What's
Like
that?
we have.
Well, he was a correctional officer, so not quite a police officer. He just.
I was called.
No
You
way,
were
All
both.
like investigators.
no way.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to have somebody that's an investigator that's not involved in any of the boards?
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah, I was kind of.
Well, We would have if, well, no, you're on
He's
board.
on a plan.
Everybody's on board.
Yeah,
That's because that's what you get when you.
Everybody wears a couple hats.
so
Right.
probably,
You know, Jim or Deb, you're here a lot, you know.
They might as well be on board.
I
You're-
know.
yeah, they are here. Every meeting.
You want me to do it?
I don't know, he's.
No, I understand what you're saying.
He's probably a complete more,
It's like everything else you
more
get.
epic.
You wanna do it? Jed,
Jeff's gonna do
like I
it?
said, he'll be on too.
Yeah, it's,
So we got a pool of people that we can just pick the
You write
best.
something down and give it to Lori?
Write it down.
And same thing with Doug, if Doug wants to be on, we can, just write a little same thing. So we'll have this pool of people in there, and we'll have someone. It might be against you, Doug, we can't use you,
Right.
Well,
you know, if it's against me, we'll use you, right?
and this is open.
I want Jed going.
they charge
You could have more.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, like.
Yeah, we could just have one pool of
It was a good idea.
Yeah, so if anyone else is interested in being an investigator,
They just investigate, give us the information and.
if there's ever an issue, hopefully there's not ever an issue.
Oh, there will be.
Chip, you're not getting paid, you can't just keep sending them in, getting paid.
So were you everybody able to look over the code of ethics investigation and enforcement ordinance?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just as good as the other.
I sent it just to you,
Oh.
waiting for a response and without, I didn't
Oh,
send it
that's
to the
right,
rest of the
okay.
board.
Oh, that's up to.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
Another one.
Okay.
You don't have.
So we're okay with this, we worked on it before with Lori. It goes along each step, and it goes along with our ordinance, so Lori will do this up,
Okay,
send it to the rest of the board, then we'll have to adopt it and advertise and go through the ordinance process, which will take probably 60 days, 80 days. Sorry, Mike. It's an ordinance, gotta follow it.
I'm okay with that.
I'm trying to get some stuff on.
80 days is nothing in this town. We've been trying to put a sign up for
You know.
8 years now. Just a bad dream, it's been 7.5.
Okay, review and approve dog and wolf hybrid reserve fund guidelines. We went over them last week and Lori, typed them up. Very brief, very, concise, just guidelines, what we can use that fund for. If I can have a motion to adopt it,
Motion, go ahead.
Second.
all in favor, any other discussion?
I just wanna throw one thing, and I don't wanna drag it out, but there was an instance where we don't know who the dog belongs to, and it needs care. And then, after we cared for the dog, we find out who the owner of that dog is.
We should be
We should be reimbursed.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think that's in our dog ordinance right now.
Which, to be honest with you, we didn't do that in the past.
we charged before we released the dog back to the owner.
Yeah, but when the dog didn't go back to the owner's responsible for this money, right? The owner says, I can't afford it, I'm not taking the dog back. Now what?
I guess you put a lien on the property, or
Small claims court.
Well, you know,
We have
we
to
did
work
do
with
that, and it was probably because of compassion. I think, I don't know, but
Did we ever send
we
them?
ended up, it cost the town quite a bit of money for that case.
Probably ought to consider case by case, you know, if it's $50, $100, and you say, okay, we'll bite it, but, you know, if they ignore it, and months go, you know, and a month goes
They're not
by,
working with us.
and you accumulate $1,000 or something, consider putting a lien on it.
We did send tickets to them, but they paid the court system and
Yeah.
didn't.
I
still didn't take
understand
it
that
out.
each person has a different story in their life. Some people are better off financially than others. I understand all that. When you have them, there's a responsibility. You don't pay for my children, I don't wanna pay for your dog. And what happens is, we have people that, it gets overwhelming. In this case I understand, I was compassionate about it, I didn't push the issue, but we gotta be careful, we could get into high-end costs. If, you know, if that dog bit someone, or if that dog had rabies, it would have been worse. You know, it was relatively safe at least. You know, it's something we oughta, I agree with John, is we should be reimbursed.
so as long as it's worded in our guidelines. Motion to sign the guidelines for dispersing funds, reserve fund.
Second, any second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And speaking of dogs, the due date was the 1st. About how many dogs are unregistered at this point?
All of them.
Maybe 160?
Yeah.
We probably have 100
Well,
registered.
We give
We
a,
got more that are not.
we give a, what do you call it, grace period. That's why they're not, you know, people wait right till the last minute, a lot of people. One thing while you said, speaking of dogs, I thought Deb would be here tonight. Remember she talked to us the other day about bringing a dog to the vets out of town in Massachusetts?
Yes.
And they give, even though her dog had rabies shots, had the paperwork, she brought her dog to the vets in Mass, and they gave the dog another shot. Said, nope, we don't take that paperwork from Mass and gave that dog another shot. I'm pretty sure that's the right language.
Well, it had a valid rabies shot,
Yes.
but because it was exposed to a wild animal, they would not treat it without giving it another shot, even though.
Which
it
makes
had
me
valid-
wonder if the shots are good or not. Kinda like,
Sounds like that's what they said.
what's our next step?
Well, what her thing was,
Oh, you can say-
what her thing was is you might wanna consider bringing your dog to a Vermont vet. She wasn't sure if that's the same case in Vermont versus Mass. So, but she didn't mention it.
You have a tetanus shot and you get an accident, they give you another one.
If I say yes,
He-
if I'm unconscious, they might, but if I say no, then they won't do it.
Now, I don't have any clue about this, but it's just a thought. Once somebody registers a dog or dogs, whatever the case may be, at that point, can that just be added to their tax bill? No? It can't be a line
we
item in
looked
the
into
tax
it.
bill? Yeah,
No.
I was
I
just
wish it
curious.
could, but.
Yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yep.
In our situation, referring to the vets, we're closer to the veterinarians in Massachusetts.
Sure.
You know, so it makes sense for everybody in town to go, you know,
Well, it was just something she mentioned. I don't have dogs, so it didn't really.
where's the next one? No, Anthony, that's like.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That's where I go.
So, what's our next step in our dog ordinance? I think
I think we would have to wait until May 1st or 10th or sometime before you can turn it over to the dog officer. And sometimes you want me to send out reminders at that point instead of just turning it over to the dog officer.
So could you send out reminders now? They are late now, so send out the reminders. Because it all comes off the computer, your dog needs a shot. The computer knows it all now. Yep, if you can send it out, maybe 10 will come in. But we're getting better on dogs, right? Mike? So,
Much better. We got.
okay,
We
review
used to
and,
bring them out the woods.
review and adopt transfer station monitor job description. So we went over this last meeting. Everything good with it, so we could approve it and sign it? Well, Lori, could you put the signature stuff?
Yeah, I didn't do it on these,
Yeah.
job descriptions, I guess I will.
Yeah,
You wanna just wait until next week and
Sign it.
approve it and sign it
Yeah.
then? Unless you have a change for me.
no, I have no change.
Don't read it anymore. You won't have any changes.
Okay. Okay, review and adopt road commissioner's job description.
Make them look.
I didn't see my driveway in there. So that's one change.
Drive me enough.
That's how he keeps his job, yeah, when you're driving.
Okay, we've got on the backside, number 11, do the sidewalks when practical. Should we add sidewalks to the second paragraph on the first page? It says road commissioner is responsible to oversee the conditions of town road, school parking lot, firehouse parking lot, town yard, recycling area, and sidewalk.
You're responsible for the sidewalk here.
Yeah.
Say,
I was dying.
That was part of the, grant and
I get it.
Well, we're-
Well,
How do you do the sidewalk? Do you have like a snowblower or?
No, we use a loader and a shovel.
So I was, asked a while back about an old sidewalk I didn't even know existed on the north side of Mill Road. Said that,
That's not part of it.
okay, there's someone said that the sidewalks are popping up
And that wasn't,
that the lady that walks all the time, I guess goes to the landowner. Tripped over one of them.
that's not part of the town's
this is not the
responsibility.
town sidewalk anymore.
You're next door to you, the other lady that walks.
Yeah.
Went over to just say hi.
To me?
No,
Oh, next door.
to your neighbor. But your neighbor was asking.
I mean, there is buried sidewalk there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't
but that's
tell
not
you who's.
anything to do with this.
That's not part
It's
of it.
old.
It's old sidewalk.
Should the state address that if there is pop-up rebarb or whatever? Okay,
I mean,
hey, it's not my house, I'm just gonna go
probably
back to that person.
technically not existent to them at this point. I mean,
Yeah,
there was a sidewalk where there's a sidewalk now that's technically their sidewalk.
This sidewalk all the way down.
to Grant, and I
it was grown over for so long, people didn't know it was there.
Right.
You can see it in the old photos there, if you look at the entire site.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I'd go out there with my backhoe and rip it up. Then the guy from the state would stop and I'd say, well, you know,
Moment over.
it's the next time.
Lori, I think there was an old number 9 that we didn't put in the new. Old number 9. Or select board to long and short range maintenance plan. Do we take that out when we review this? The day?
No, we should have it in,
Have it in?
we should have it in,
Okay.
okay.
So is it okay to add the sidewalk to that first paragraph?
Yep, I must have just missed that.
We didn't talk about it. and
Doing it now.
think about it.
I would keep it on there.
So can I have a motion to, oh, John, you had something about this too, didn't you, the road commissioner? Or the,
Are you referring to the lawn?
Yeah.
Lonnie put that maintenance or something.
Well, I just kind of was hoping to get the lawn fixed. So it wasn't a $500 or $750 bill to the town every year. Dave expresses concern that he didn't really have time to do it, he was more concerned with the roads. I mean, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna make $500, so I'm not complaining.
right,
But in the same aspect, it's probably gonna take me a couple hours, 2-3 hours tops. So if that's something that the board wants to agree on throwing in on his plate for the following year, I make a motion.
it was always done before by previous road crew. And then, like you said, the janitor took it over here,
That's what.
just because he liked doing it and.
Well, one of the things I was thinking when I read that email was, I'd rather see the janitor than the road crew do it. And so I did the numbers at $500. We can't look at it as what it costs. What it costs when we pay someone. If we pay a person $30 an hour, we give them insurance, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say it's $45 an hour, $50 an hour. That's not what it costs the town. That means that it's $50 an hour, and whatever you're not doing, that's $50 an hour. It's like being in business. Just like you were saying, if you're working on your truck, it's broke down, you're not selling firewood anymore, it's doubling everything. So when you look at it like that, the town, what we pay a person is not what it costs the town. It costs a lot more than that. And not to say you can't do it. I mean, you probably have time. This goes back, and I can get deep into this too, it goes back to that third guy. Would it justify having a third guy if we did something like that too, we got more jobs? I really think we should dig into that some more, at a different time. Because there's a lot to it, there's timelines that are coming up. But, when you look at what you're charging, John, if you, 4 hours at $500, right? So what do you got, $125 an hour? That's a good price,
For landscape.
you know? Yeah, if I pay him, I might save some, but then I'm not, if they fall behind on their other work, I'm not saying they would, but if they did, and we had to hire a guy out to come and do some of the work, grade the road or whatever, it would cost more. It's not a bad, I think it's really a good number for our, bang for our buck at $500 to do that. On the other hand is, I look at the janitor, and I know that our other janitor was Superman, I get that. If you look at what the janitor does, and what the school's responsible for, it wouldn't be a bad idea to talk to the school someday and say, would you like to suck up, not the lawn mowing,
Right.
but help us out with the driveway. We plow the driveway, we maintain everything, we solve that, we're here first thing in the morning, can you help us out clean it up? And have the janitor do it,
I think it reflects on the school to see a schoolyard like this, that,
you know, it's safety
because
too. if
right
there's
now
kids
without a
walking out
sign,
there.
nobody knows this is the town property, so it's school property.
Dave's got all he can do to get him to snow blow correctly.
I know, and again, If
What
I
is
was
it?
the hiring authority of the janitor, I would have a job description form, which I
Buildings and
still,
grounds.
to this day, have not seen. Okay, we've asked the school many a times, and, you know, the board and the principal, and I don't know who's in charge. But when you ask and say, what's the description of a janitor, and they don't give you that, and then if it's just sweeping the floors at whatever he's getting paid, I'll sweep the floors up, and I'll come down and do it. You know, actually, I'm here anyways, and I don't work.
That gets a little tangled because that job belongs to the superintendent's office.
I know, and that's what I'm saying.
It isn't
This
worth
is-
even starting to go there.
I know, but it seems to me that the guy's making $20 an hour over there, and he's got extra time during the day, he's only part-time. He leaves and comes back. When he has the snow blow, he has time, right? Why can't you have someone come out there for 2 days in a row and clean that up?
Even if you did it 20 minutes a day.
Right.
If you get around to having that meeting with the school board, that's the first to do it.
Understand.
Nice to get outside and be away from all those janitorial fumes.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Bill, it is, that's the place, but when, in this part of the discussion of these guys, I think it's a better idea to give it to him. We've already got someone doing it now, but in the future, if we're gonna change that, it's more, not just the school board that we should be talking about, should be that joint meeting that we're supposed to be having.
I mean, even if it was in the job description, they could always say in the spring, like, I don't have time to do it, and then we're gonna end up putting it out to bid anyway.
Oh, it's just like John just said, it's hard to get someone to do the snow blowing, you gotta argue with someone. It's everywhere, on every labor to argue.
I just like to say in the springtime, it's overwhelming, amount of work we have to do, like, to add to it.
Your slow time is summer, if there is a slow.
Once I get all the grading done, and then we're just kind of ditching and putting colors, I have to mow, I mean, it's never ending, and I think if you ask people that lived up on the back roads, I think they're probably a lot happier seeing me fixing the roads than they would be down. I mean, if I left County Road the way it was a couple days ago, and you saw me down here fixing the lawn, you'd probably not be happy about that, right?
Well, all the guys in the mountains go on especially for you.
Yeah, how come all these people who live on the mountain do all this?
Well,
That's
yeah,
why.
yeah.
Cook, cheese, most of us.
All the cheese.
So what do we do with job description? Are we gonna accept it like this?
You know, there's just so much more that goes on now too than years ago. I don't know how many more grants we have. They try to keep track of all this stuff and trying to fill them
The
out.
paperwork.
All that stuff that goes on that I do now that I didn't do when I started here. The repair work and maintenance of the equipment that I know got hired out before, and like, I do
That's what we need to do.
a huge amount of that.
Right.
And that, exactly, I know you disagree, I don't know if you disagree with me, Dave, but we bumped heads a little bit about this. The third person is another conversation we need to talk about. Well, we gotta start somewhere.
But
If,
that's
you know,
where we need to explore the paving, because that cuts down on
Yeah.
the amount of,
even if we pave, you're not gonna be here forever, okay? In the future of the town, we need to look in the future and say, because I know what it takes to train someone. In my field, it takes 2 to 3 years to get them to even understand the business. So you're gonna say the same thing. It's not about plowing a road, it's about everything else. You have to train this guy, and it takes baby steps. Years, not months.
I mean, working on the roads is the most important thing, obviously, that's what we're supposed to do, but the equipment has to be running.
Right.
For me to do that, and I can tell you that now, the way things are nowadays, it's like daily. And when we have enough equipment, there's always something that's in the garage that's getting something done, maintained.
You could almost have a guy stay back at the.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, when Alan worked for the town, our third guy, a lot of times he did stay back and do some, there's things that just never get done. There's always Band-Aid patches on plows and they never kind of get painted, cause in the spring, when you do that, the normal highway departments have paved roads, you know, they're in the garage on a rainy day painting their plow, and I'm trying to keep the town together. It just, you know, there's a big difference.
I,
So-
know of anybody that wants to work for the town. Third
I know
guy,
people, but they're gonna want as much as I get an hour
Well,
work, they're not.
But one of the things we should advertise, we don't have to hire just because we advertise. Start putting it out there.
let the
that we're-
word get out.
we're actually, looking around for something. And yeah, I understand wages, it's tough stuff.
This is paid based on experience and
Yeah, it's a tough stuff.
give them a 60-day trial period.
Just hire somebody for like half-time for now, wouldn't that?
Yeah, the bike, I mean, I've done that.
Part-time.
There was times when I had part-time people in the summer and, yeah, you walk out every now and then, but even running the mowers, not,
Right.
you know, you
Ruin
need
it.
something decent, you know, I'm not gonna tolerate someone doing something.
Huh? But it's something, it's a discussion that I think we should look into deeper. We've talked about it before, you've tried it before.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying it didn't work, it probably worked to a point, you know, maybe it was at 70% work. We have to, I think it's a good thing to look out
There's,
there.
there's
Maybe
definitely
the right person will come along.
pluses and minuses, and I obviously put a lot of thought into it. And I mean, minimum, it's gonna cost you $100,000 a year to have an employee. I feel like if we had a paving loan and paid $100,000 a year, that would cut down where I would need that employee. And then, you know, quality of life, there's so many benefits to
Right.
starting to do something different.
I'm looking a little deeper into it, I'm looking 10 years from now, where we at?
You're gonna be gone.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna leave tomorrow.
Right.
We're lucky we found that you were
All I'm
available.
saying is that
Your help's over there.
Yeah, part of the job is you
Yeah.
have to be able to show up within a half hour or something like that,
well,
so.
I think that's,
Dave lives 15 minutes up the road.
I think that's gonna be a big problem.
It's one of those jobs that's just good, it's like a homegrown job.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a big problem as far as like responsibility goes, because like in my shoes, it's up to me, right? I'm the one that has to basically be away almost 24 hours a day. It's my responsibility. I have to know what the weather's gonna do. I mean, I can't just go to sleep at 7 or 8 o'clock at night if it's gonna be freezing rain at 9 o'clock, even if I was on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think that's gonna be one of those things where you're gonna need extra people just because nobody's gonna wanna do what I do. It really is.
Well, that's where we were kind of, I don't know if everybody else agrees with that, but you're in a position where you've got the years in, and you know what's going on. You can almost step back, take a little bit of weight off your shoulders, put it on somebody else's shoulders, and then tell him, go do this.
You
You
gotta,
go do that.
you
And
gotta
you,
be able to do
and
that.
you continue
That's
doing
hard
it.
to do.
You
That's
do
hard
the
to do,
grant
Dave.
stuff, and you
I
know
know all
what
the
I mean?
things that are gonna happen.
So I've been retiring for 10 years.
Really good job, that's the problem.
But
Okay?
that's where you become boss.
I have been
boss instead
retired
of
for 10
labor.
years. It takes you, it's hard to let go, I get it. I trust you, not always, I gotta do a check and see how things are, you know?
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder to find people that are committed to something other than just a
But there's-
full paycheck.
You know, and I don't, this is a discussion that we should sit down, I don't know how you feel about your second in command and how much you can leave on him and so on. Like, if you wanna do something, you say, okay, you're responsible for this other guy we just hired. You gotta let, it's hard, but 10 years from now, you're gonna go, you know, I don't really, not that you don't care, but it's not your responsibility anymore. Now, we still have to have some way you gotta let it go too, so it would be nice if we could train someone in a position like that.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with you, I just,
It's gonna be
somehow we
unique
gotta make the
individual.
job easier.
Have to be a unique individual.
Well, I'm for the pay, you know that.
I know it's a ton of money, and it's gonna be hard to get people on board with it, but I can just see the writing on the wall, it's one of those things where it's gonna prevent a lot of issues.
Yeah.
You know, cause when people just don't show up.
Imagine
They
they
have
have
to
to
put
sub
all
out
that
all the
effort.
plowing, imagine if we had to sub out all our plowing.
Well, that could be a
That
prop,
is-
that could be our future, that's what I don't like, is
No,
all this could happen.
Yeah.
We could get to a point where we go, we can't find an employee. You know, now what do we do?
Not for the rate, people, I mean, money could you make right now if you left and went work somewhere else? A lot more you're making.
I can tell you that I've had job offers with a couple in the last 6 months that are way higher than that.
It's gotta be more than someone that's into it just for the individual paycheck.
I get it.
But you'd have to travel.
Not very far.
No?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
It's
double the money is worth
One
it.
of the jobs is pretty much me throw a baseball from my house, so.
That's the part that a lot of people have to understand, and then the road budget goes up like $10,000 and everyone freaks out.
And if we say to the
I'm not gonna
contractor,
do this in the future.
correct, if we say to the contractor, plowing with only 2 inches of snow, look at Marta, she's got 6 inches of snow,
sure.
do they know this?
Well, that's,
Yeah, did they know the individual?
Or the contractor's already doing something.
Yeah, like Mike was saying, it takes years to learn all the things that he encounters now on a day-to-day basis. It takes years to encounter.
You gotta find somebody that's invested into the county.
Yeah, and it needs to be someone that's fairly young right now that would still want to rate 10 years from now.
Can we move on, this is interesting,
Yeah.
job description, road commissioner to accept it with the,
Motion to accept.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
With the sidewalk put in there. Okay, thank you. And, job description for highway department labor, basically it's the same as Dave's job. Any reports to Dave?
If, do you have to put anything in there for a sidewalk on that one?
No.
Okay, motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm catching up.
You get in the rhythm.
I wanted to go real quick and also I can justify my order.
Review invitation to bid, Merck garage door replacement project.
So you should all have that, invitation to bid with a couple of gray hairs. Dave took a look at it, gave me the measurements, we added, a remote control door opener to it. I guess my question to you are the dates. I think you have it in your box, but maybe you haven't, you can grab it. Work completed by September 15th, 2025. The grant actually gives us until December 2026. Dave's hoping to get it done this summer.
Right.
Do you have any bids back yet or no?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you gotta- Right.
Well, that's all right, I don't, you can always change this later if we didn't get anybody, you got,
Right.
yeah, just put your time on it. And get it done this year, it's gonna benefit us.
I go along with this.
Yep.
April 17th roof up. I think we've got National Forest coming and,
Yeah, if you wanna wait until your first meeting in May,
no, this, we're just opening the bids.
You already got a guy you know wants to do this, right?
Well,
There's
it's on
not-
the back, we send it to how many?
Four.
I typically hire, Rob Door because the guy's almost works for
Local.
free, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Will he get back to you
Well,
by the deadline?
I don't know.
Does he want us mow lawns for
Yeah,
19
I
bucks an
doubt
hour?
it. Nancy can ask him, she knows him.
Let me
Yeah.
smooth you, what's a Merc? Is that a brand?
No,
it's Energy Resiliency Program.
Okay.
and the things she had to jump through to get this grant. What else? Historical,
Oh yeah, preservation, archaeological studies. They did a study on the garage to determine where we could be more energy efficient and gave some things that could be repaired, and then they offer grants to repair them.
Sounds to me like they need Elon Musk up there.
So this is dated March 24th, but really it's going out tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, that's when I did it, so March 24th doesn't matter anymore, but yeah, if you guys are happy with it as is, we'll put it tomorrow's
So you
date on
gotta,
it.
hopefully
and
these
send it out.
guys get back to you within 10 days. Do you wanna extend that to maybe,
Or the following meeting, give them 1 or 2 weeks.
Like May 3rd or whatever the next
They
meeting
should
is.
be able to get it in before winter.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they get you bids that usually a couple months.
she's gone.
No worries.
Are you hot?
It's a little moist in
Open that
here.
door. Open that door. I don't care. Well, you got your sweatshirt.
I know, I'm just like,
Give Pete a drink of cool water there. Yeah.
So we,
You can't have vodka, that's why I'm getting hot. Water.
I'll, come in and sign it tomorrow, or whenever you give me a call. You mentioned something about resignations before, do you have those? Lori's got
I've
them.
been wondering around, we kind of check the right there somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the
wanna
ones
do
with the,
that?
oh, these are the ethic ones.
Well, no, I think there's
Oh.
some reservations.
I didn't see
More.
It was for what, conservation
Why do you
committee,
jump
right?
over to the town one?
I can't see.
Well, I don't wanna correct you, that's for sure.
All right, you wanna go back there and then
Well,
we'll do
it's up to you, but we can jump over it.
let's jump over it. This is, a resignation from Conservation Commission member Lisa,
Do you wanna look at them?
and then we have one from, Pete Greenbush from,
Same thing.
Conservation, yep, took me a minute to find it.
And that's like mainly like invasive plants and.
Coffee hour.
That's not all it is, but yeah, it's along those lines.
That was coffee hour.
I think
You were on
Mr.
that,
Lori's
right? You resigned,
original,
you were the
so-
first one.
Can I have a motion to accept both of these with regret?
Regret.
Yep.
Yes. Here are the letters of interest.
Oh, and we've got letters of interest.
Who's interested?
Lisa Gardner. She's interested in becoming a member of the Conservation Commission. And Nancy Lesage. I am very interested in being considered for the position. I believe my background in geology and longtime life of recording the geology of Stamford would make me a good fit for the committee. Sheila Lawrence encouraged me to send this note to you.
I would like to wait at least one meeting, put it out there for other people, because we got the resignations today.
Well, it's a 7-person board, so that just brings you to 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Can I have a motion to appoint them to the board?
Make a motion.
There's several people on the conservation.
So what are we down to now? 2? There's 4 on it now?
So how many seats how many vacancies are?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Marta resigned, Lisa resigned, Peter resigned. So we have Sheila and Dave, Sheila oh no, oh, Sally and Irene are still on. So we have
3 seats?
1,
four,
yeah, 2, 3. We have 4 members, so we have 3 seats.
better drink a lot.
I don't drink.
3 vacancies
You might need to
appointed tonight.
Really?
If you need.
At least it's here.
So did you finish your motion to accept
They're all here.
resignation?
With regret. I'll make
These are
a
the
second.
I said.
So do we want to appoint them to conservation?
Whatever you guys wanna do, we can
Yeah.
appoint 2 tonight.
Yeah.
We have the letters that
We got
show
it,
the
or if
interest.
there's someone who's still.
And there's still an open spot, if anybody wants to
Take
step on that board.
motion to appoint, those 2 candidates.
Second,
Make a motion.
Oh, second.
all in favor?
Have fun.
Review and sign warrants for town election.
So this would be the warrant, short and sweet. There's no town meeting night before, it would just be for the election.
You have a new number?
New number?
They have to have an informational meeting, so they'll tell us that.
It's Australian
Oh,
ballot.
yeah, I don't know that.
Then the next day is the vote. We just want to get on the ballot. I I would make that motion to sign.
It says, just to elect the following officers. Lister, 3-year term, Lister, 2-year term, Lister, 1-year term.
Oh, your side of the meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. This was voted at town meetings to have elected listers, so we're following through that. Can I have a second? All in favor? Now, how are we going to advertise for this election?
Sticky notes.
Are we gonna jump on with school and mail it with them? Are we gonna put it in the newspaper?
You can do either one, the school said they
Right
were
to the
doing the
camera,
mailing.
that's pretty clear.
What?
The school said they were doing the mailing.
They weren't doing the mailing. So if we include this warrant in with the school, probably a yellow or pink piece of paper, so it'll stand out from their warning. I agree, we should mail it.
I'm getting good at writing my signature too.
The thing is, we have no idea when they're elected, how we're paying them.
You didn't.
We didn't put any money in.
I know, we don't even know what we're paying, that's a question that came up, is how much are we paying?
First, you
Yeah, it's
gotta
kinda
get
like-
somebody elected,
Right.
and then if that's the worst overage that you have for the year, so be it.
Right.
And they've gotta take training.
Pay is negotiable, so.
Speaking of terms, we should go back and figure out what terms what people are getting appointed to what conservation terms.
Ooh, good idea.
The bars are here, 2s and 3s.
All right,
We didn't do that last time and we should.
Officially.
okay.
Pete was the first, who resigned first, Pete?
Pete, I
You-
did.
you- Marta did? So we're gonna replace Marta's and then Pete's, and yours
Marta was
is
a
third.
4-year term. Who do we wanna
And
appoint?
we read Nancy's first,
No, then Lisa.
Lisa's first?
Lisa's first.
Lisa's first. 4,
Lisa Gardner.
and Pete
Is
is.
it Gardner?
Yeah, still is, yeah.
Well, 4 or 1.
I haven't changed it.
You wanna go for the third one?
No, I
Oh.
don't, but I think, I really wish that the select board would reconsider right now about appointing anybody else. And just look at the resignation letters and speak to the people who are resigning. I think it's extremely important, I'm not gonna say nothing, it's not.
I think.
We had a conversation.
Before you came in, I addressed quite a bit of that. But, yeah, I agree with you.
It's an ethical issue itself, right? It's a violation of the ethics. And
I
it
agree
should
with
be,
you 100%.
so,
That's something that I brought up, and I think it will,
I'm
will
sorry.
bring more.
But I just realized.
No,
They were-
I agree with you, and I think that, I'm going to ask this board down the road to have an executive session on the next meeting to address all of that.
You wanna correct the
The
problem.
problem, yeah.
Okay.
And have them come in, have a hearing, whatever you wanna call it, and say, hey, look, if there's issues, we can address them. No, I agree with you.
I mean, I know you guys spoke about it, and I'm sorry I was late, but
What happened again?
it's like, I'm kind of. I want what's best for Stamford, I really do.
I did.
And these people, these 3 people that we're referring to right now, are 3 of the best people that have happened in a long time on these boards.
Yeah.
And so it's disheartening that this happened.
We,
I'm not
the
saying.
ethical part of it, there's a process, and
Oh, I know the
people
process.
can do the process. I'm talking about even above and beyond that, the rules and regulations of our boards should be addressed on all our boards, and we've already talked about talking and having more language with rules, and this has to stop.
Yeah, the good old boy now, let's go.
Yes.
So I make a motion, to amend the motion for the appointments, they're 4 years each.
Oh, they're about 4 years?
They're all, 4 years, but they do
Thanks
have.
for wasting that. Good.
Okay.
So, Lisa went into Marta's and Nancy went into Pete's.
And we have one opening.
Anyone's interested?
Sign right up.
You could do Conservation Commission and Lister. It's not a conflict of interest, and the Lister.
Okay, Kurt,
Yes.
school board, joint school board meeting, was I supposed to do that, or were you gonna ask
I
about?
thought, I asked, remember?
Yeah,
I
they
thought
said.
Cindy was gonna reach out to you, or you were gonna reach out to Cindy.
Is
I thought she was gonna reach out to you.
She did a chair.
Yes, Cindy's the new chair.
I think
Seems
she's
to be moving
probably,
along pretty good.
I think she's probably,
She knows the job.
You
Yeah,
think?
she's a little, yeah, I think it'll be good.
they were working on budgets, and so maybe I'll wait until,
Yeah, I was thinking more towards later in the spring or whatever, once they get through whatever they gotta get through there.
right. Okay, anything else under discussion, Lori?
No.
Oh, correspondence, we reviewed the resignations, letter, boy, I'm jumping all over.
Did you do the American Gas Barrett thing? Wait on that thing?
Yep,
We can do that.
no, not yet,
Oh, okay. I have them here. I'll have to go get them.
okay.
So before
That's
I
it?
get we sat down with the Agency of Transportation people to go over our spring. They do our, budget and go over information, and so we have our annual financial plan that you guys sign every year, our certificate of compliance for the town road and bridge standards, and then we have our municipality of Stamford road and bridge standards. All of these, you need to take a look at and sign.
Make a motion to sign them, Dave went over these the other day with you guys.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Alright.
So while we're signing that, I think that's the end of, we can go with our old business stuff, but what I wanna mention is, before I forget, is the bylaws, when we take a look at these bylaws, and the work they put in, there's some emails that were sent to us also, from members of the planning board, that we should read, and, while you're looking at those bylaws, there's laws in place, and there's email correspondence back and forth that'll help you,
Yeah,
understand some things.
looked over them. There was one from Dave and one from Lisa. Dave's letter was like ancient. Even the lettering was like from 1962 or something like that.
No, that's what we're saying. Yeah.
And I think it referred to more of the signage, like when you enter the town, it says "Welcome to Stamford." Scenic. What his letter was referring to was that signage. Doesn't really include the town signage. And then Lisa reached out and, got some feedback from the guy, and he actually explained, the difference between the two. But yeah, it's worth a read if you guys haven't read it yet.
It will help you, it should give you more insight on the bylaws themselves, where we've gone and the hard work that's been put into it.
Most of that's already addressed in the bylaw.
It sure is, yeah.
So it's really not an issue.
Well, seeing as we're on the topic of the sign,
I don't know why it's under old business.
Lori and I have been working on some bids from people to put up a sign. Our signage was based on the old square footage. There's several of, respected members of the community here now. If you want to chime in on this, does it make sense to wait until we approve the new sign bylaws and then have the chance to put up a larger sign versus the old signage? Keep in mind, the new sign square footage is gonna be a little more costly than what we're currently trying to put up. And our budget is $800. And she's got a price of 1,000 for one, 1,600 for another one. So there's an issue of money of how those signs are paid for. So if people want to donate for the sign, you know, those are a few questions. Old sign square footage, new sign square footage, and cost of the sign. So if anybody wants to, email Lori or speak up now.
Well, one of the things I think we should definitely, make sure that we can look at the bigger one. Not that we would go with that, but if we have to wait, that'd be fine with me. I'd get the bids out and
I'm
both.
all for waiting and doing it correctly,
Yep.
so there's nobody's complaining.
But this is gonna be a one-time, last forever thing, I got a feeling, so,
Yeah,
at least as long as I'm around. But I would like to make sure that even if you get the bids now, I don't have a problem with that. If it was $800 for the small one, 1,000 for the next one, 1,600 for that, I will definitely donate money. You know, I've already said this in a prior meeting, I thought we had something else that said we were gonna donate also.
There is donations,
So,
some of that money
You know,
has been donated.
not $5, I mean, I'm donating hundreds of dollars to this cause. So I'm not worried about money, but worried about going over the budget. So get bids. Don't tell the people that are bidding that, but.
Okay. So let's number, the first sign was the gray one, the old one you took down.
yeah, it was, 12 square feet.
The old one. Then sign number 2 was the big one that said Stamford established.
Yeah, there's an issue with that sign though, right, Lori? It's gotta be double-sided or not
It's
double-sided?
gotta be,
Be able to go this way.
It has to be perpendicular and double-sided, yeah.
Has to be seen by.
So that
Both
sign
sides.
theoretically was
so that
incorrect
won't
anyway.
be able to go back up.
So 64 square feet is the number for.
I don't think
municipals
we
and
should,
towns.
this is an opinion, I don't think we should use either of the old signs.
Right.
Old number 1 or old number 2.
Old
whatever
number
you wanna
1,
call
number
it.
2, number 3.
So the new bylaw.
We should get a bid for a new sign. This is new.
So we don't have to do 64, we can
No.
go up to 64.
Yeah.
I still wanna consider the possibility that we take the most recent old sign
Number 2.
Throw it up on a building.
and put it on the front face of the
I'm all for that. I'm all for that. If we can do that too, I do that. I'm all for that.
But we know number 2 cannot go back up.
That's the
Up,
sign.
as the real sign. Yeah, on the building, we want.
Put letters.
Yeah.
Well, it's gotta be perpendicular.
You have to put it in a way that it can be seen both ways.
It can be seen both ways, and it has to state what's here. It just said Stamford,
Yeah.
right? We need to know what's here at the
Right.
town.
So I personally think we should just move on from those signs. If Bill wants to have them put up on that, that's another whole thing, but I'm all for that.
I like the idea on the school side.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
a
like
beautiful
a peak
sign, don't get me
area.
wrong. But I think we should, that way there, we're not stepping on anybody's toes, we're just moving forward with this new Stanford, you know? Push forward.
The community side.
Yep, on the other side of it though, I also, because that is a very nice sign, I also think that we should think about, and it's up to you guys, it doesn't mean anything to me, I wasn't born and raised in Stanford. The old sign might be worth something to someone, maybe someone wants to put it in a historic thing if we ever come up with a building for that, which we tried. But you might want that, that old sign right now, we approved that it will be stored. Do we give it away or do we say you can store it?
Send it to stores.
So then we should say, hey, we wanna make sure to preserve that, if the people that care about it want it to be preserved. I don't, you know, but some people might,
Historical society would make the most sense.
just like Bill says, hey, that other sign's nice, I'm gonna put it on this building, I have no problem. I don't like throwing things away, I think it's a great idea, you know? But at this point, we get a bid, I think we can get a sign up by maybe 2030.
Just yesterday, I happened to be here and title searcher, he said he went around 2 or 3 times trying to find out where the town office is. He said, I didn't believe my GPS, it was here, but
I still don't find that hard, I still find that hard to believe that you can't find the town.
No, it's,
Grew up here.
I know.
But it's the oldest, the oldest in their town, it's like he's doing it.
Everything else is a house.
The state law requires the towns to have signage on their offices, on their town hall, the schools,
Yeah.
highway department, things like that. And I can't recite the chapter and section on it, but it's all under chapter 10, and David might have it even in, DOT.
Well, Jim, I went to 251 towns in Vermont, and some of the town offices were pretty hard to find because I had to take a picture of the snowplow that had
Right.
Town of Holland on it.
Yeah,
But,
You got a plow up there?
I actually went up and measured, from the center line to where the sign can be, where it starts, and I kind of dug a little trench right there, but it's probably,
Whoa, did you get permission to dig a trench?
it's probably about 3 feet above where that flower garden starts, closer to the road. So,
because Lori's got some, AOT sent
We got
some,
measurements, so.
some measurements from,
from ALT?
yeah, the
Okay.
fellow that was here
They're
the
good.
other day sent them down.
So
And they're-
25 feet from the center.
24.9.
South end, and it's about 28 in the middle.
Or what, did I hear 18? Wait a minute, I thought I heard 18.
The right way, highway right way. So it's a little angle, it's on a little angle.
18 or 24?
Surveyor's chain.
Or
From the center, so it's
From
like
the center, from the
it's like
center of the
10,
road, it's
12
Yeah.
feet or something. like that.
25 feet from the center on the south end.
Dang, that's closer than the sign we took out.
So that's exactly what I measured, 25 feet.
It's closer than the sign we pulled out.
Yeah.
And it puts it closer to the road than the sign.
What a waste of time and resources this was.
Not to mention it was legal in the sign that was up there. So, anyways, and we don't have to put town offices on the sign that's up there. We could put Stamford, Vermont, like you want to, on a triangle. And it says, it allows you to put any other signage under it, or like a placard. It would be nice to, town offices and.
Well, that's when they were putting up
Pay your
sign number
taxes
2,
here.
I said, where's the library, the school, the town office? Oh, we're gonna hang them on the
Right.
gate, because they didn't think of that either. It was,
Yeah.
you get too close to the project. But,
If it gets too
So
far
it's
away
that.
from the road, you're not gonna see it.
right.
Yeah, so they'll.
Right, I mean, it makes, just use common sense, if we could. Please. What'd you say earlier tonight? Common sense now? Tolerate.
I gotta sign this thing?
There's 3 places to sign, the 3 sheets.
It's a rare commodity.
I'm exhausted over it. I agree with you, I made a motion that it goes on our website, what a waste of.
Yeah, wasted time and resources.
Yeah.
Big time. We had a lawyer over this thing too.
You
Now you
have
have
the,
more old business, new business, or what?
you have the
I said that
sign
I use
uniform
old business on it.
permits, Lori's got.
You got something you wanna talk about?
Can I have a motion to sign an overweight permit from Barrett Trucking,
Motion to sign,
Casella,
cash $10 check.
Amerigas. We're getting more now than we ever had.
Not asking for a week more, that's it.
All their insurance, yep.
Fix my river again. I had a tree fell down, broke up in like 3 different places,
I just have them all make it.
like 2 different channels. It's running right
Yeah,
across
we're
the
just
street.
missing that one.
Unfortunately,
Barrett.
No, they're not. It's on my land. I'll fix it. Am I gonna call NRCS? Yeah.
Did you have something?
Old business. resident on Frigette Road. What are we gonna do about his water? I said, we sent you a letter. It's your culvert.
It's over. I'm sorry.
It's over. Done.
And the
We're
position
doing-
hasn't changed.
Okay, we're doing nothing there. And we are not plowing Allen Hill Drive because that is not a town road. Okay?
Correct.
Okay, I will get back to him and let you know. New business, Lori. I don't have any. I got an email from, our emergency management director, Bob Briggs, saying that there's going to be a training in Manchester, Vermont on April 28th, and this is to understand how the incident command system works. And I suggest this class is good for any new leaders in town, including select board members, managers, administrators. So if anybody's interested in going, I will forward the email to the board and to you, Lori.
Okay, brief
Yeah.
reminder, this is the thing we've talked about for 5 or 6 or 10 or 12 years. You have no authority as selectmen to sign off on the emergency plan without having attended something similar to this course. Somewhere maybe 15 years ago or more, 20, Nancy attended it. Nobody else on the select board has taken a comparable course in years, perhaps Doug has.
Oh, it's been a while though.
But to have an appreciation of what responsibility you have when the poop hits the fan, what you're responsible for, what the select board is responsible. And as well as it is to employ Bob and me or whoever for training,
We were gonna do that online here and set it up, and what happened from there. But if we can set it up, remember we talked about this? If we can set it up here and have the computer set up here, it'd be beneficial, because to drive to Manchester for some of us on the board is very difficult.
Can't you take it, aren't there courses you can take, cause I've taken FEMA courses
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
This is
Just
one
take
you
it
sign
myself.
you can take them online.
Yeah.
The intention was that if you did it as a, did it here, with a screen here, you could get several people qualified at once.
Right.
And if there are questions, you can share
We
them.
mentioned this, many, almost every year we mentioned that.
And if you get around to it, and Bob Wicks can't sit in on it, I will.
Yeah. But I have no problem with it here.
What is the basic one, if I wanna take it myself?
101.
101?
Incident
Probably
command.
100.
What?
Probably on 100, but if you go to the state emergency management website, you can get a link to the course.
Yeah, this one's gonna be an ICS 402 summary for executives.
You'll have to
Purpose of
register
this
and
course is to provide an orientation to the incident command system for executives and senior officials. I just mailed it to them.
The ICL 400 is a minimum at least. To give you the right to sign off on these things.
Okay, new business. All right. For next meeting, we should start looking at the employee handbook, because that's way outdated. And another policy is the social service policy. I can have Lori send them to you to review, and we can discuss them next meeting. And start reviewing them and getting those up to date. And anything else under new business? Okay, and we need to go into executive session regarding pending or probable civil litigation.
About time.
So make a